24-hour adobo. That's right, it takes a long time to make this because we're using the sous vide method, but because we're using some pork belly, it's tender, it's delicious, it's so good that you're gonna be so glad you had the patience to make this. And guess what? It's mama approved. So hit that like button if you're into Filipino adobo, and comment below what's your favorite type when you make this for your family at home. Let's get right into the ingredients. Pork belly, that's right, we're using a pork belly. We've got some onions, we've got some garlic, and yes, it's not traditional, but trust me, we're gonna use these carrots and it's gonna be delicious. Of course, we've got some Filipino soy sauce, we got the Datu Puti vinegar. We're also gonna be using some coconut milk. I know that's not traditional, but there are some places that use it, and this is delicious in this recipe. And last but not least, we've got some crushed red pepper and some bay leaves. Just as important as the ingredients are the tools that we're gonna be using. So first thing I wanna mention is the sous vide machine. I'm using an Anova sous vide machine. What this does is it actually helps circulate all the water at a constant temperature, so it cooks this very thoroughly, but at the exact precise temperature that you wanna cook it. With that sous vide machine, you're gonna need a large container. Now you can use a large pot, but I bought one of these off of Amazon. I'll put all the links to all the tools I'm using. This is gonna be perfect. You're gonna need to fill this up with water, of course. A Ziploc bag, 2 of them specifically, and I'll tell you why later. And last but not least, we're gonna be using a large Dutch oven. You can use a large skillet, but I find these cast iron Dutch ovens are perfect. First things first, you're gonna go ahead and set up your sous vide bath. Go ahead and fill it up with water. Set your sous vide machine to 155 degrees and set that to the side. Now to prep our ingredients. All right, so all the ingredients are ready. Sous vide machine is heating up. I'm gonna turn my pot to a medium-high heat, and I'm gonna start searing my pork belly. So my pan is nice and warm. One thing I want to mention is I like to keep this all together so it's super easy just to lay down, and they're uniform pieces so it's easier to cook. So when you're searing your pork belly, you're gonna wanna make sure to sear every side, so I don't put too much into the pot or the skillet, whatever you're using. So I'm done searing the first batch. There's gonna be a lot of oil, so play around with your heat. Sometimes I turn it off or turn it down low if it's splattering too much. What I'm gonna do now is go ahead and transfer this over to the bowl and let it sit while I sear the rest of the pork belly. So the pork belly is just gonna sit to the side and rest. Now it's time to cook up our vegetables. I'm gonna throw the heat back on, probably a medium-high heat. Now most of the fat is gone, there is still a little bit, so add as you need, maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons here. And the first thing I'm gonna do is add my onions. Just go ahead and put it all in there, and you're just gonna saute for about 1 to 2 minutes. All those flavors inside, you definitely want those. And in fact, the acid from the onions are gonna help lift all that good stuff up, and it's gonna flavor your adobo. So it's been about 2 minutes. I'm gonna go ahead and add in my garlic. Simply stir it in and cook up for another 1 or 2 minutes. Been about 2 minutes since I added that garlic, so I'm gonna go ahead and toss in my carrots. It's been about a total of 6 minutes since I added my onions. I don't want to overcook the carrots. I just want to get them slightly soft because the rest of the process is going to soften them up. And plus you're going to have another 24 hours on them in terms of cooking. At this point, I'm adding my soy sauce and vinegar, but I'm not going to stir for a good 10 to 15 minutes. The goal here is to reduce everything by about half. It's been about 10 minutes since I added the wet ingredients. Like I mentioned, I don't want to overcook the carrots, so I'm gonna go ahead and remove all the carrots that I can. It's okay if you get some of the onions, nothing wrong with that. The main thing is you don't want to overcook those carrots because you still want a little bit of a bite to it. At this point, I'm gonna add my bay leaves and then my coconut milk and let it reduce further. The sabao, which is the sauce, is ready to go. It's really reduced down. It's silky smooth, but it's super hot. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it outside, let it cool down, and then I'm gonna put all of this evenly into 2 different Ziploc bags that I'm gonna dunk into my sous vide bath. So the pork belly is done, the sabao, as Mama would say, is done, which is just the soupy mixture. And what you're gonna do is go ahead and add it to the Ziploc bags. I evenly distribute all the meat, vegetables, and the sauce into the Ziploc bags. By this time, your sous vide bath should be up to 155 degrees. So go ahead and add your Ziploc bags with all the ingredients in it and set your timer for 24 hours. That's right, it's the next day. It's 24 hours afterwards. You can take it out up to 20 hours if you want, if you can't wait. But this is ready to go and ready to serve. Now, what I like to do is put it into a pot, stir it up so it's nice and mixed up, and then it's ready to plate. It's salty, it's savory, it's pork belly adobo, and it's been cooking for 24 hours. You're gonna love it. I'm gonna taste test it, but before that, if you're curious about my traditional adobo recipe, click or tap the screen right here where I cook it with Mama. If you wanna see my vlogs where I cook for my family, click or tap the screen right here. Time to dig in. There's so much sabao.